The moment that I feel and I stop thinking, the moment I let my heart lead, not my head, is the moment that everything in my life works, including music, behind the studio, in the studio, etc.
You're listening to Life on Hi-Fi, the podcast, and I'm your host, Dominic Justina. So welcome, Raechell. We met over the summer at New Wave. It was featuring a lot of upcoming talented artists based in Toronto. It was really cool to witness. You're a singer, you're a songwriter, you're a performer. You're absolutely no stranger to Life on Hi-Fi. What do you want the world to know about who Raechell is?
I'm so much more about connection with others than I am just about myself, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So if people want to get to know me, I guess the word would be multifaceted and connection.
Multifaceted and connection. Love it. Yeah. And as you can tell just from hearing, if you're listening in, she's a very warm person. She's very friendly. And that's why I gravitated towards her during that New Wave event. After our first interview, when you just explaining how you wanted to, just like help to be a light in this world. Like that's what I got from our conversation. I was like, oh my gosh, this person's from my tribe. I love that. What I know you're creative and I know you're multifaceted, but what made you get into music?
Yeah, so I think I was just born with it. Like my mother was pregnant with me and she was playing Belle, Beauty and the Beast, like within musical theater shows in different places of the world. And so I think it was naturally formulated inside the womb and definitely a God-given thing. And then when I was born, I instantly started making sounds. I actually thought the doctors thought I was talking in Afrikaans, which was very interesting. So I would make clicking sounds like and stuff like this and like talk. And they're like, wait a minute, this baby is a little different. And then as I got older, more and more music just started to evolve. But especially during the time that I lived in Steinbach, Manitoba, I didn't have friends and I was bullied and I went through a lot. Not just bullying, like different people from my church did different things and it was just like all over with like checklists of like, that shouldn't happen to a person, check. That happened to me. So I think music was my therapy and it was a way for me to not feel alone, even though like I'd go to school or do like swimming lessons or dance lessons and then go right back home. That was my life. Like it wasn't, oh, what friend can I hang out with? Like I didn't have friends up until like actual friends up until grade like 11. Like it just wasn't really a thing. So I spent a lot of time alone, but music didn't make me feel lonely. It made me feel like I could output something and input something at the same time.
I know, I sense that there is a profound story there and I want to get into it. Music as that thing that's kept you from feeling lonely when you were having a hard time in Manitoba. But we'll get into music as medicine and music as therapy almost towards the end of the episode or like closer towards the end. I want to get into some music that you released recently.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't ready for that. So you released Take Me On in August of this year. What made me really like surprised when I was talking to you in the past about this song is that you said it was kind of in your backlog for a while.
Yeah.
For how long did she say? I don't remember.
2017.
So 5 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. What made you decide to release it now?
So I wanted to share another version of who I am and continue the theme of being multifaceted. I was like, I feel like this is also just a fun song. And it's summertime and I'm feeling good and I want other people to feel good. So I think I'm ready to just release this and show another, narrative of who I am. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes timing is weird like that. Like
I know.
You might feel pressured. Like I'm creating something right now and if I don't release it right now, I'm failing myself. And that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes it's not the right time. And when it is, you will know. It's almost like that, like instinct where you're like, yeah, it's now. So I love that you were able to release it. What was it like bringing it to life? So from like
Yeah.
you wrote it in 2017. Was
Yeah.
like how did you find a producer? Did they create the beat for you after you wrote the song, or did you already have a beat that you wrote the song to? That's my first question.
Yeah, so with me and the piano and vocals and lyrics and composition is all tied into one moment. So how
Mhm.
I write my music is literally like I sit down at the piano and I start playing and singing and it comes out. And then I'm like, oh, that was good. Let me quickly write that down. Or like if I
Mhm.
know, like I have a feeling like I might write something or improvise something that might sound good, I will do a voice memo on my phone. So it's very like all my songs are improvised and then I just tweak little things. And
Mhm.
then I create a demo. So I use my MIDI, hook it up to my Logic Pro X software on my laptop, create it, record vocals, demo style. And then I sent it to the producers I was working with at that time, along with some other music. And then they're like, we like this one. And I'm like, sick, let's do this one. And then
Now,
we
does
met.
the demo, what elements comprise of a demo? So like is it just the vocals, or do you also have the piano or the chords involved? Like how complex does, or what state does the song have to be in order for it to be a good enough demo?
A demo gives producers or listeners that are about to listen to the song an idea of what you want it to be.
Mhm.
So usually you want to do as much as possible, but it won't be mixed and mastered or studio grade. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So like if you want to have harmonies in different areas of the song, you've got to already put that down so that they hear it. For the most part, if you want drums a specific way, you already have to have a list of references and links to different sounds, or have like the instrumental and your vocals and the chords to the song and the lyrics to the song all ready to go in a package, and then you send that.
Ah, okay. So the more you
Yeah,
know, the more you learn. Thanks for breaking that down. So you
no
send the
problem.
demo. Is this to a producer that you know already, or did you have to hunt down a producer?
You know what's funny? I was in Toronto doing um, like I was in college in 2016, and I was like looking for opportunities, and I think I found them on Craigslist.
Really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
and they were like, "We're looking for singers," blah 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 blah. They said whatever they said on the ad, and then I was like, "Hmm." They work with all these different labels. Um, that's another story. They contacted me, said that they wanted to produce my music, and I talked with them, asked them lots and lots of questions. My father was there for most of the conversations, kind of listening in because he's very protective of my music.
You said
Uh,
your father is a musician as well?
he used to songwrite,
Mhm.
and
Okay.
he will like if I hang out with him, he usually brings out his guitar and we jam. Like I'm on the piano, he's on his guitar, or he'll play his original compositions.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. So daddy
yeah.
he knows what's going on. He knows the world and he's protective
Oh,
of his
very.
daughter. So he's around to make sure that no one's trying to play you. I love that. I get it. That makes sense.
Yeah, he's a very artistic soul, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, and also very protective. So
Yeah.
put that together, and it's like protect Raechell's music and empower her and make her the best musician she can be. And he's also very skeptical of people too. So I mean, I guess that comes with protection of me.
Mhm.
But yeah,
So I love that he's protective and he's supportive at the same time. I think that's a really awesome combo. And then you
thank
have
you.
the privilege of experiencing that at least. So daddy's around, he's in all the meetings, he vets the producer, and he's like, okay, they're good. They're
Yeah,
decent.
that's what he used to do back then.
Okay.
Then as I got older, he stopped because like he is very much a supportive person. Like whenever I visit him, I'll play him my new music or I'll send him the demos and he'll give me notes back. Like he's very
Mhm.
much involved, but I choose the producers now and who I work with, etc. He gives me his little tidbits, as he always will, because that's just him. But yeah, I don't work with those producers anymore. And
Something went down. I could see in the knot, but we don't have to get into it. It's fine. So
yeah.
you live, you learn, you move on.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And I don't hold a grudge. C'est la vie, literally on my arm. And now I get to work with Tamaryn, who's a wonderful producer and extremely empathetic, and actually does care about his clients' emotional and mental health. And that's very rare to find. And that's the only type of people I will work with from now on. So, yeah.
See, I don't think people think about that. Like when you're thinking about the process of making music, like there's also like the people behind it. How much in sync are they? And are they compatible? The compatibility between the artist and the producer. Because sometimes when you hear songs and it sounds like magic, it almost feels like you can sense that the relationship between the person who's singing, the person who is producing is like pretty, but then also sometimes you could tell like there's a breakdown there. There might be so I wonder just how much that impacts the output of what a song feels like. You have me thinking, but now I know your experience. You've experienced not the best producer. You've experienced a producer that you really appreciate right now. What is on your list of things that you look out for in confirming that a producer is for you as an artist? What's important to you? Maybe name like 3 things.
If they are diligent, if they are empathetic in the sense of mental and emotional health, and if they are fun.
Fun. Okay.
Yeah.
What does that mean? How does that look like in the studio?
I'm going to be frank. So I will go into the studio and I might not be in the best mood, or I might be very tired, but I want to go do some work. I'm going already trying to like up myself. And then I'll go into the studio with Tommy and like, he'll instantly be like, hey, and then I'll be like, oh, hi. And he's like, how's it going? Let's chat. This is my interpretation of him. And then he'll smoke up a joint, and I don't know if I can say that, but I'm gonna say that he's probably chill with it. And we'll just talk about a couple different things, listen to some tracks he's working on or instrumentals, talk about a lot of different things quickly. And like throughout the process, it's fun. Like we also do, like when I'm behind the mic, I might do some like different boxing workouts, which is interesting.
What? Boxing, like
boxing workouts. He'll like remind me, okay, time to loosen up. And then I'm like, yeah, it's fun. The moment that I feel and I stop thinking, the moment I let my heart lead, not my head, is the moment that everything in my life works, including music, behind the studio, in the studio, etc. So that exercising like literally helps me to get there.
I think that like is pretty transferable any process of creation, or like the moment where you leave your head and you start feeling. Like the other day I was painting, I was so in my head, like overthinking myself to death, and the moment I just put like paint to canvas and just started and stopped thinking too much, it was the best, because then you start to trust your artistic instinct, right? Because it is there and it will help to guide you. For you, what is it like navigating Toronto as an artist? We have a lot going on under the scenes, but we're not really in your face as much as the United States. And so it's hard to, even for folks who don't live here or for folks who are not in it, to imagine what it's like.
I grew up in Steinbach, Manitoba for a decent amount of time after I was 11 years old, and the music scene there is shit. So
like non-existent. What do you mean?
It's almost non-existent, and it's for country and rock artists who can barely sing. So
okay.
And so for me growing up there, I'm like, ooh, this is not my scene. So I always knew that I wanted to move to Toronto. I wanted to be around diversity. I wanted to be around a hustling and bustling city where there's artists. And so honestly, it's been the best decision I've ever made. being able to share my music and having more venues to be able to perform, having more people that I can connect and work with, being able to connect with artists just even based off of a friend level, like that's just so nice.
Mm-hmm.
So like everything about Toronto, the encompassing of music has actually been really joyful for me. And really like I'm very grateful to be here. Um, yeah.
Would you say like when you moved from Manitoba to Toronto, how were you able to find other artists in the city? Was it very easy for you?
Whoa, I have to think. How did I even find other artists? That's actually something I've forgotten. Uh, I think I came upon people through Instagram. I
Instagram. There you
think that's
go.
actually what happened. And then I started trying to make friends, and the more I started making friends, they would introduce me to different people that were artists, and then those artists became closer friends because they have the same heart as me in a sense, with like they love music and I love music.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that's how it went down. I'm not even sure how it went down. I think God had his hand on my life. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's how it happened. That's what I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my life has never made sense. But the only thing that has made sense is that there is God that loves me and he's giving me this life. And for that, I'm very grateful for.
So you feel very guided. I
Oh,
get the sense that you feel very
extremely.
guided and
Yeah.
yeah, same. I'll say that for sure.
Wow.
Amen. So you are here now. I feel the sense that you have this community of artists around you so much to the
Yeah.
point where you're able to have a whole showcase, featuring them and giving them the stage to and the space. Big up Pink Light. Was it Pink Light Stage?
Yes, it was Pink Light Stage.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
big up that venue. It's a very cute, intimate space.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you have this community of support of artists around you. You
Mm-hmm.
love being in Toronto because there are a lot of artists. It's a very creative city. And there's a lot of things going on. You just have to have your eyes open for them. There's parties, but there's also events showcasing artists doing their thing. So it might not be the average event that you typically might see advertised, but if your eyes are open enough, you meet someone like I met you, and then they help you to network. You keep on networking and finding artists doing their thing because there's a lot
Yeah.
of us out here. So now we can get into mental health. Let's get into it.
Woo-hoo.
We both lightly talked about how we've had our own challenges with mental health, and I told you how it's been
Mm.
on my mind a lot, especially seeing um, deaths happening, suicides happening to folks who seem happy, like they seem okay, they seem like they have it all, specifically on social media, and then the next day you wake up and they're not here anymore and you
Yeah.
had no idea that they were that depressed or that low. And so yeah, that kind of shook me up. And it made me check in on my own mental health. It made me check in on the mental health of my friends, my loved ones. And um, it made me realize that there are two things I find important. One is normalizing talking about mental health, um, just making a part of regular conversation as much as you check in. Okay, how's your job? How are you doing? How are you feeling? Like that's important. And two, normalizing asking for help, because as someone who, if you're going through your own challenges, like asking for help, because someone can check in, and they say this all the time, check in on your friends. They can check in until your face is blue. If you don't share, they're not going to know, and they're not going to know
Yeah.
what to do. And it's hard. I've been in moments where I'm just like, this is really uncomfortable to communicate. I don't want to be seen as weak, or insert all the adjectives here that you don't want to associate yourself as, because you're not able to support yourself in that moment on your own. And I've pushed myself through it just because I realize like it takes sometimes a village and no man's an island. And when you're in that perspective where things aren't 100% rational, you do need that voice of ration sometimes to help pull you out of that perspective. Um, Art does that for me. Surrounding myself around people who care about me, and who are supportive and non-judgmental, that helps me as well. How has art been a source of therapy, or I should say music specifically? And if you're comfortable, what are the challenges that it's helped you through?
Um, some of the challenges came from being alone. And then also when you're bullied so much growing up, those voices start to be, when you're young, when you hear different things from people or people do different things, you start to take it on. Like, how do I say this? Yeah, so I guess I'll get personal. When I was younger, we moved to Steinbach, and it was just so difficult for me to find anyone that understood me, and people were just so mean and cruel. That was my life, like constantly around people who just were mean and cruel in so many different ways. And so, I tried to grip onto life and tried to, hold fast onto music, and God, and just try to get through. And I mean, grade 8, I had a slipping point where I decided like I'm done. It was just too much, and I didn't feel like I could talk to anyone. So I was like, I'd rather be with Jesus than be here, So I tried, and obviously that didn't work. And then
Amen.
I was like, I need to, yeah, thank you, God.
Mhm.
And that didn't make my life better knowing that I did that. It didn't even like really change anything much, which was kind of surprising, because a lot still happened after that for a very long time. But music has always just been that source of medicine for me, and has been that source of like, you're okay, you're going to be okay. Like, let me talk to you while you're singing as well. And it also feels like a form of prayer, like I'm being connected to from God. And so for me, it's like more comforting knowing that I can let out how I'm feeling. And then also hearing myself back, like, wow, like I'm listening to like music now that I'm finding on my library, on my laptop. And I'm like, wow, Raechell, you wrote some really dark stuff in grade 5 and no one knew. Like, how did people not know when you were writing those words? Like, how? But I'm like, wow, you went through that on your own with God, with music. Thank goodness you had those things. And it pulled me through. And then when I was going through my separation, because I'm divorced, music
I
again
didn't
was
know that.
like, yeah, I'm
Mhm.
divorced. Music again was like, let me light a fire under your ass. You have that focus now. You have to make this a thing. You have to speak to people. I'm done feeling like shit, and I know other people definitely are. Now it's your turn to like step the fuck up and do something about it. So I was like, I'm moving to Toronto, starting my life over again from literally like scratch, and trying to build my life up so that I can help other people and myself. Like, I really had a passion for that.
It sounds like you could always turn to music even during your like darkest times.
Yeah.
You could always count on music to push you
Yeah.
into the space you needed to be.
Yeah,
That's
for sure. And the thing is too, like I've always had that thought process, like you said before, like I don't want to seem weak. I don't want to seem like I need help. Like I still struggle asking for help in general
mhm.
with anything and everything. Something that I'm learning to do.
Yeah.
It's so difficult.
It's tough. Yeah.
And being vulnerable is still so difficult, but I'm like, this year I was like, no, it's just time for you to just be honest about things. And
Mhm.
however people take it is has nothing to do with you, just everything to do with them. But if I'm coming from a place of care and kindness, then that's, hopefully I can reach people with that feeling too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever wonder why why you've experienced that? Like, have you found any, how do I frame this?
Mm-hmm.
Have
I
you found
understand
any
what you're saying.
purpose? Yeah. Have you found any purpose in the pain that you've experienced?
Purpose in the pain. Ooh, I love that so much. That was good. That was really good. Yeah. I think that there's a lot of different things. There's there's this old Japanese story, I think it is, I might be wrong, but there's like these broken vases and they put it back together, but then they put gold inside of it. And it
Like in
looks
the
even
creases?
in the creases. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds
And it
beautiful.
looks even more beautiful than before. And it's like a proverb or something like this, that like the broken can be made beautiful. So that's one thing that I've just been like, wow, like there's so much more light that can shine through now that I've been broken. And I think, I mean, God turns everything, for me personally, this to each their own, but for me in my life, I feel like God turns everything bad into good. And so in order for me to feel the epitome of happiness and to love people at the level that I do, I think I had to be broken down. Because I used to see the world a little bit more black and white. And I remember praying when I was very young, like, God, I just want to be happy. That's all I'm asking you for. And happiness is a choice. Joyfulness is from the spirit. And so I think by going through struggles, I've had to choose my mindset. I've had to choose my output. I've had to choose how I'm going to try to steer myself in that moment, that day, that breath, that time, etc. And I think God was like, I think I'm gonna be there with her. I'm gonna guide her. I want to love her, want her to know that. But I think that these could be good learning tools so that she can relate to people, love herself more, and find happiness. Because that's what I prayed for, was happiness. Careful what you pray for.
You found it.
Well,
Would you say you found it?
Happiness. Yeah,
Okay.
I really have. And I'm
good.
like, whoa, I've never felt this much happiness. Mind you, I have my own mental diagnoses. So that is always looming in a sense. But I feel like I found happiness and joyfulness too, where I'm definitely in an open-eyed and heart and mind of gratitude in that kind of state now, which is just really, I'm very thankful for that too.
I'm very excited for you, and I'm happy to hear your story. And I'm happy to see that you've taken so much command and ownership over the trajectory of your life. You said happiness is a choice. So you've chosen to be happy, to embody the thing that you've been praying for. And I assume like that must have taken a lot, because if you're young and you're praying and you're like, where is it? I can't find it. When is it going to be bestowed upon me, to the point of like, it's all in my hands now. I'm going to choose to be happy. That's a big shift. So could you help me understand some of the things that you've had to do intentionally to find that joy?
Yeah. One is telling myself, don't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself grace. Don't let the narratives of other people affect who you actually are. And it's also the choice to find 3 different things, at least, that I'm thankful for, 3 different things that I love about myself. It's the reminder. And then I remember in grade 12, I was going through a period of just like, I couldn't sleep and I was very sick because of my mental health, like physically. I remember one day going, nah, I'm done with this. I'm going to start exercising. I'm going to pull myself up out of the ground. Like, that's how I felt. Like, time for you to just pull yourself up. Like, it's you can't rely on other people to make you happy.
Mm-hmm.
That won't ever happen.
Mm-hmm.
People can't make you happy. It's not their responsibility. It's your
Period.
responsibility to do that on
Period.
your own.
Yep.
And that's when you find happiness, and that's when you start having healthier relationships too in general. And so that's the mentality that I've grown with.
The conviction that you have is because you walk the talk, or you talk the walk, or is that whatever?
That's
So
amazing, because that's something that I wanted as well. So
yeah.
for me to hear you say that is like something that I've in the back of my mind. I'm like, I don't want to be a preacher. I don't want to be a teacher. I want to be a walker. Like, I want to walk with people. I want to be with people. I just want to be me. And hopefully that can be enough of talking.
You've made me think differently about my experiences just from what you've said.
How so, if you don't mind me asking?
When I asked you purpose to your pain, so that's something that I was coming from me, because I ask myself this all the time with the things I've gone through in the past that's challenged me the most. Some of them I'm like, why I don't see how this has benefited me in any way. What it has done, it's made me more sensitive. It's made me more relatable. It's made me more humble. And so I find that my connection with people, like, it can look like so many different things and so many different ways, because I'm willing to listen, because I understand life to a deeper degree than I did in the past when I hadn't experienced the challenges. So I've lost a brother, for example, and that made me grieve from a very young age. I was in high school, and that was really tough. That's one of the toughest things that had happened to me. It adds some perspective, because it's like it makes you relate to others in a different capacity, and it makes you see the world in a different way. And
Sorry.
so, are you crying?
Yeah, I just feel for you. That's all.
I'm okay, because that question of why me, or like, why did this have to happen? That's maddening. Like, it doesn't help anyone, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone deserves to be loved and to feel love, and to be in a safe space with themselves and with other people. And it's difficult, and sometimes life doesn't give people lemons to make into lemonade, and that makes it even that more difficult to find love for yourself, or to find a time where you can just breathe. So it's difficult. It's difficult. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then that's life.
It is life. It is unfortunately life, and it's also, it's unfortunate that that's the way that life rolls, and at the same time, this is me again trying to choose to find happiness in this. You know, these are learning lessons, and it might be a hard ass pill to swallow, but you never know why something happens, and I don't think that's for us to find out. I think we're supposed to do something about it afterwards, like, why did that happen? Why? What if? Like, if it's not in your control, it's not in your control. And it's tough, but it's something that we can try to take, in my opinion, and go, okay, what can I do about this now? How can I be a listening ear? How can I change something?
Exactly.
How can, so yeah.
Yep. You said unfortunately, that's the way life rolls, but I almost want to say unfortunately and fortunately.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but I wasn't sure if that would be like kind of
insensitive.
Insensitive.
Nah.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you know what? Pain and pleasure coexist. Like, there is suffering and there is joy that coexist in life. That's just life. That's the full story. That's the whole story. That's what's up. And I feel as if you don't really know how great your highs are until you've hit some low lows. That's when perspective starts to form, right? And so like they come in tandem with each other. That's and then there's beauty in that sometimes,
like even a personal experience of mine. I mean, I teach children in the day. That's one of my jobs, besides being a singer-songwriter performer. And we were doing a food drive, and these people were coming to talk about the Toronto food drive. And these kids were like thinking that the Toronto food drive was for people that are like literally homeless on the streets. Like, unfortunately, these people that are on the streets, that's the mindset that they had. And I had to, it was very difficult for me to say. And I actually just chose to tell you this, because I'm going to be vulnerable and it's fine. Like I had to tell them that was me, like 3-4 years ago. When I first moved to Toronto, I had some bosses that duped me and scammed me for money, like out of money. Said they were going to pay me and then just didn't. And I was going through a divorce. That costs a lot of money. So by the end of paying all my bills, there was a week that I remember calling my mom and crying and going, I literally have $1. That's it. I have minus $400 in my bank account. I have to pay off different things. Like I literally have $1 for food this week. And I tried to make it work. I didn't know about the food bank. And I had to tell these kids, I'm not there anymore, thank goodness. But, this can literally happen to anyone. And it's not because of the typical X, Y, and Z that we think. It could be for a numerous amount of other things. And so for me, that was also another low. And now my gratitude's even that much more greater, because I'm like, wow, I have a roof over my head. I have food in my stomach. I have friends who have loved me. I have my wonderful dog. Like I can list things like that because, when you're in a place where you literally have $1 and that's it for a fucking week, like when you go after that and you're like, wait a minute, I have $2 now. Wait a minute, I can afford the TTC. Wait a minute, I'm okay. And now I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I can kind of breathe now, which is, I'm still pinching myself. Like,
heck, that sounds like freaking scary. But at any point, did you ever feel like giving up on your dream? Especially during those moments when you were at your lowest? Yeah.
No. No. The give up is never on music. The give up would be on myself first. That's where I would give up. Music is never my give up, ever. I mean, it's just tied into who I am. So music is my life source. And so I'm like, that would never be a thing I'd ever give up on. I would give up on myself first before giving up on music.
Sounds like music is the love of your life.
It is. Well, God and music, yeah.
God and music, yeah.
Yeah.
They've guided you this far, and I'm really happy to like see where you've come from and like where you are now, and I'm so excited to see where you'll be in the future. So thanks for joining. And thanks for breaking things down and being vulnerable. That's not easy. And there's a lot to learn from vulnerability. And I appreciate you so much. So I'm going to ask you my favorite question. I ask this to all the guests who come onto the Life on Hi-Fi podcast. Raechell, what has your life on Hi-Fi?
Jesus has my life on Hi-Fi.
Amen. Hallelujah. Yeah.